What a week for aviation.
Yeah, guys, some awesome news out this week. Yeah.
Some interesting news, some confusing stuff. Been a very busy week.
It has been. A lot of news, particularly, and we can start off with this, I think, Ryan. There's pilot shortage news about. My newsfeed this week was swamped with a whole lot of pilot shortage stories. Well, a pending pilot shortage, which I don't really buy into, and I also think it's a little bit dangerous. It's a bit of a clickbait title, this pilot shortage. We've been hearing these pilot shortage stories for years, pre-pandemic. They never really materialized, not to the point where you could pick and choose jobs and that you wanted. So where this comes from, look, I understand the basis of it and what they're getting at. Obviously, there's a lot of pilots retiring right now, so it does leave a gap in the market. But I think just a word of caution there. If you've gained a bit of momentum doing something, whether it be hustling on the side or whatever, don't stop that momentum now because you feel that there's a good chance of a pilot job next year.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see it happening.
Look, I mean, that article that was doing around said that they need 27,000 new pilots in 2021, and that's what they expect. I mean, that's grossly exaggerated when you consider how many guys have been made redundant. And what guys tend to forget as well is that when the airlines do start opening up and becoming more operational and growing again, I think they're going to be tending to take back the pilots that they let go first. It's just the way.
Well, that's logical. I mean, guys or pilots out there, use who's available.
Yeah, exactly.
Use the guy that's got the experience, who just needs a renewal. Get him into a sim session and he's able to fly, as opposed to training pilots. I mean, Boeing came out with 763,000 new pilots required over the next 20 years. First, in 20 years' time, if aircraft are not flying themselves, I'm going to be a bit concerned. Where's the demand coming from?
Yeah.
I don't know where these numbers.
The guys need to be careful of getting their hopes up, I think.
I think so. Be
Not
careful
to be
of getting, not to be negative. We're all about positivity, yeah. And we're not saying there won't be a short-term shortage at some stage, but to pin your hopes on those articles, just check where they come from, and you'll see it's a lot of the places that benefit from people doing various training and stuff like that. So just a word of caution there. But obviously this positive news comes with the talk of a vaccine, freighter news about how to move this vaccine around the world, all these sorts of things been adding to the positivity. If we could just go a bit into, start with South Africa, we're definitely not immune to any of this positive news. We're going to have Kulula aircraft in the sky shortly, which is great. Lift is starting up very, very soon. Gidon Novik there, I see he's been the go-to guy for all their media, and rightly so. He's got the aviation pedigree, got a strong business acumen. So when we see someone like that, then it gets us excited. So I wish them all the best. I really, really do.
I think it's great that they're out there and they're in the mix now. But I'm trying to understand where the benefit is of Lift. I'm not seeing a price benefit.
Well, the pricing, did you guys see, jump back at this because it's an important point you make here, but MoneyWeb posted an article in the week about the low-cost carriers in South Africa. They totally omitted Mango from those numbers at all. They were looking at Safair, Lift, and Kulula.
Yeah, it's a clear indication that I think most places have lost their faith in SOEs.
Exactly.
Why go and promote? Look, I don't want to shoot Mango down. Got a lot of friends that work there. Don't want to see them.
No, it's not about them. It's about the running of the airline.
Exactly. There's not a lot of faith in that right now. So rather promote the guys that are up and coming and that are doing well and are showing it.
And I don't think Gidon Novik and Elmar Conradi really look at Mango right now as a genuine threat. I just don't. But those figures, Brett, all right, so on MoneyWeb they posted these figures. Joburg to Cape Town, Lift from 1,325 Rand up to 1,795. Kalula about 100 Rand more. And Fly Safair about 100 Rand more than that. There's some bigger discrepancies on the Joburg George route. You're looking at Lift 1895, where Kalula starting off at 2664, Fly Safair 2222. Interestingly there though, Gidon mentioned in this article that places like George could be critical destinations. So many businessmen are working from home right now, remote, all this remote work that's going on. So destinations like that, maybe a little bit more applicable in towns of Knysna and Oudtshoorn and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see, and it's just great to have another airline in South African skies. It really, really is.
Yeah. Look, there's always that difference between what is advertised and what the real cost is.
Yeah.
Lift, like all low-cost carriers, we understand, the advert comes out that it's 1,500 Rand, but then got to add one piece of luggage, two pieces of luggage, extra stretch seats. You can. It's your shopping list that you can go through.
Yeah.
You're going to end up with a ticket which is $3,000 one way.
I've done some homework on this as well, and I think I see where the catch is. The big competition between most of the airlines is going to be how flexible your ticket is.
Yes.
Now, the cheaper your ticket is, the less flexible it is. I mean, Comair are advertising when they start on the 1st of December, Joburg, Cape Town. A return ticket starts from 1,158 Rand. That's your standard no-frills ticket and non-refundable. If you want to purchase a fully flexible ticket, it's going to cost you 3,366 Rand. Now, Lift, I think their game plan doesn't matter.
Well, I understand
it's completely flexible.
Yeah.
And I think that counts a lot for the way things are going. If these guys start if there's another lockdown, touch wood, there isn't. But then, you need your tickets to be flexible, and you need that security that you're going to get your money back.
That is definitely part of their game plan, to be flexible. Like they said, passengers don't necessarily change their tickets often, but they definitely want to buy a ticket that they know they can change.
You want that peace of mind.
You want that peace of mind.
Especially with everything that's happened this year, people are cautious.
No doubt, yeah. So look forward to seeing them in the skies very, very soon. Global going to be doing all the operation as far as I understand. So they're ready to go. That was a quick startup and up and running. So that's great. But and then so happy for all our friends in that at Comair that they'll be up in the sky soon.
Yeah, it's good to see.
Very, very good to ski.
15 aircraft to start with. Is that right?
I believe so. And obviously starting with the Kalula side of things, which makes sense. So
yeah, they're talking about a 7-month ramp-up period. So I think for now they're expecting to be fully operational by about June 2021. But yeah, they're starting with all the domestic routes except Durban to Cape Town, and none of the Lanseria routes as yet.
Okay.
Well,
what was good with Glenn Osman said that anyone who had tickets prior can now put it into what they call it the Kalula or Comair Travel Bank, and then effectively they can use those tickets from mid-Jan as well. So
I had a good laugh. My brother-in-law in Cape Town, he bought Kalula tickets before the pandemic for the I think it was the Comrades in Durban. So he's been panicked that he's going to lose these tickets, so he's been wondering what the right thing to do is. So my sister and my brother, they need to go down to Durban in December. So I was getting a bit tight waiting for Comair to get up and running. So last minute, it was about a week ago, they jump onto Fly Safair and buy tickets. About an hour later, Kalula announced that, hey, you can now book your tickets on Kalula.com. So now he's lost it. That's Murphy's Law. Yeah.
Isn't there a song, something like, isn't it ironic?
Yeah, I had a good laugh. Yeah. If you knew my brother-in-law, you would have a better laugh too, because he doesn't going to want to waste that ticket.
And I bet you he's not finding it all too funny.
But obviously, let's stay with South Africa. Awesome to have the borders fully open now. Anyone wishing to visit South Africa with can do so with a negative, what they call the PCR test.
Yeah.
72 hours. Great.
Yeah.
What a relief, eh? I mean, watching that announcement the other night, I was sort of holding my breath, like, what's he going to throw at us? We were sort of half expecting guys we're going back into level 2. This, that, and
well,
next thing.
the problem is, in his speech, he started out, and there was some positivity, and then there was negativity about the Eastern Cape, and then more positive. I don't know where that was going.
Fear 24 and these useless South African news networks pushing their rhetoric. It's irritating me beyond belief, these useless journalists.
Exactly.
And they love the sound of their voice.
And they're trying to get you to pay for a subscription for that nonsense. Come on, man.
Pathetic. And they're going on about it. They increase the lockdown level and all this nonsense. Half an hour later, President says country's open.
Yeah.
What a joke, man.
Well,
bunch of idiots.
As they say, bad news sells. So they're just going to swing that every single time.
Yeah, and charter side, Ryan, obviously this is massive.
Man, I think it's a big relief for the charter industry, tourism, hospitality. It's the guys have got the ability now to just get out the gate and open up and start working. So, it's great.
I think the potential clients who's going to use the charter industry and go to hotels, there's been a lot of financial loss. A lot of people are not going to go away, but those who have spare cash, trust me, I think will be traveling immediately.
It's nice to see how creative the lodges that are getting as well. To attract visitors, some of the lodges in the Kruger are saying, buy a package with us, come, and then your PCR test is included. So now it takes away the worry that, I have to get back to Johannesburg so I can have a test done before I board my flight back home. You can actually have the test done now at the lodge. The test is included in your stay. Get it done, get your negative tests, jump on a charter flight back to Joburg, board your long haul flight back home, and it's going to be that easy. So it's perfectly doable now.
And I think a lot of the airlines are also giving that insurance.
Yes.
So that if you are positive, they're going to take care of the bill for you. So along with that,
there's no reason not to travel now.
No.
Come see South Africa.
Come see South Africa, for sure. There's a lot of businessmen that have got to come from these countries that was on the high risk list as well. Yeah. So it's much easier for them to come and do that right now as well. So that's great.
Which is great. We're going to have our CEO, our CFO at Samero, and the team down here first week of December, which will be brilliant.
Well, they've been waiting to visit since when this whole thing started. So I think there's a lot of that movement that's going to happen. Staying there with so charter is fantastic. It really, really is. That was the one aviation industry here that got knocked.
Yeah.
But now it'll be interesting to see what has. It's not going to go back to what it was, but it's going to be different. It's not that the flying's not going to be there. It's just going to be a different type of operation. So be interesting to see, and be good to get Jill back on from Unique Air when this has happened a bit and see what has changed and where it's going. So
exactly.
Nice.
No doubt it's going to require a bit of adaptability and creative thinking, but looking forward to seeing how this all rolls out.
Brett, you pick up this week the shares of these big airlines. I mean, American, AGI, EasyJet, they're all up 25, 30%. Boeing shares are up.
Yeah, the skyrocketing, and they're marketing heavily. Just turn a TV on anywhere and an airline somewhere is advertising. So they're going hard, they're pushing hard, which is brilliant to see.
Yeah, they are. They're obviously seeing this, and this news of this vaccine. We said it. Let Trump lose, and the vaccine will be announced. But look, it's not an official announcement yet, but it's going to happen, and they're going to move this vaccine around the world, and things are going to open up, and that's why these shares are shooting up. So it's absolutely brilliant to see.
I'm surprised that all the you have a lot of conspiracy theorists about. Okay, the vaccine is a tracking device, whatever it might be. There's 1,000,001 stories there. But they're going out strong. They're coming out forceful. I mean, saw a thing with them wanting flashing lights to nail Bill Gates. And I mean, there's just huge amount of pushback to the vaccine. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
The one interesting thing I picked up out of our STEAM leader's speech the other night only 700,000 must be idiots have downloaded this tracking app.
Oh, I couldn't wait to find the app and permanently block it.
That's 50 million people that smell a rat over here.
I had a good chuckle at that.
Yeah, 700,000 people have downloaded the app whilst dancing it up at the shebeens and nightclubs.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, it was a bit like having
I think this is the first time that the ANC's offered something for free and people are not interested.
Yeah, they're not interested in this tracking app. I'm certainly not. You see those two A350s delivered to Ethiopian on the same day, carrying humanitarian aid. So they're not wasting any flying right now. Even an empty aircraft on a ferry is being packed full of humanitarian aid. Good PR move, I think, as well. But nice to see. And there's a rumor about Ethiopian. A220s on the cards.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they've got the most modern fleet in Africa.
Yeah.
And, there's a big drive towards that sort of gauge aircraft.
There is.
Especially with the whole hub and spoke system that's sort of being transformed now. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see them operating.
Replacing the Q400s or in addition to the Q400s?
Probably in addition, maybe replacing. Who knows?
I couldn't see them replacing those 400s. Not at this stage.
They're quite new. Those
They're brand new.
Who knows?
But you've got the whole Ethiopian talk about taking over the managerial side of South African Airways.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
I have.
Providing pilots, management, and any other form of support.
Or maybe they're going to provide Q400s.
You took the words out of my mouth. I mean,
possibly. Look, they were very interested in getting involved with SA Express with Q400s. Never happened, but let's see. We don't need pilots, by the way. We've got experienced pilots in this country that don't have any work. We certainly don't need Ethiopian to provide pilots. And I hope that if that is the case, and that's what happens, then we jump up and start waving our arms and say, there's a problem there. There's a lot of unemployed pilots that need work. We do not need pilots from another country right here at the moment. It's just the way it is. Right. Airline news worldwide. Singapore, a lot of the news coming out of Asia. Singapore Airlines retiring 26 aircraft in its current fleet after a major review. It's 2 A319s, 9 A320s, 4 777s, and another 7 A380s. So that's a massive overhaul of their fleet. And in addition to that, they are merging now with Silk Air. So Silk Air is gone, eh? If you go onto Silk Air's website, it just redirects you to Singapore. So they obviously planning for the future there.
We're going to see more of that.
Yeah.
More mergers.
More mergers, definitely.
Worldwide we're going to start seeing that.
Yeah. We probably should have seen it. It took the pandemic for that to happen, but some of these operations, I mean, classic, we always go on about the whole SAA, Mango, Saks, but to have 3 separate airlines competing against each other just seems absolutely ludicrous. But it happens all over the world.
Yep.
Competition is great. We know we always got to have competition, but there are too many marginal airlines around the world, barely surviving or just sucking funding out of a government of some sort.
Yeah, no, you're right. Scoot returns to Melbourne.
Yes, all that.
A lot of South Africans at Scoot, some friends of ours. So good that they're going to be up and running again properly. They're a good airline by the looks of it. What they did with their pilots during this whole phase, they seem to keep everyone in the loop as to what's happening all the time. They did some training. Well, it's an organised place, you'd expect it. But they were an up-and-coming airline before this pandemic. Let's hope they carry on in that direction as well.
Exactly. Yeah, very well run operation by the sounds of it. So.
Yeah.
Bit concerning to see Air Canada. They've taken, Canada and like the rest of Europe and North America have gone back into lockdown at some level. Canada definitely has, and they have cancelled 40% of all their remaining orders for new aircraft. So cancelled 12 A220s, 10 Maxes. So they're shutting down quite extensively.
It's strange, we're sitting here in South Africa right now with a real air of optimism around the country. We had that speech by Cyril Ramaphosa the other night, opening the country up. There does not appear to be any, indication that we're going to go back into a lockdown. There's talk of this vaccine. Why is the rest of the world in this secondary lockdown state? Is it because the hospitals are jam-packed? Or is it just a final last push to make sure nothing happens and the politicians saving their own asses?
So my theory is a lot of this is all linked to the seasonal changes. Northern Hemisphere are just about in the middle of winter again, so along with that comes your normal colds and flu.
But you know what?
Everything is being tied to COVID.
But as well, Ryan, you're hitting a nail on the head there. It's in the winter.
Exactly.
Tourism is down.
Yeah.
So just lock it down anyway. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Lock it down anyway. It doesn't matter. Summer it was open because they needed the people there.
Exactly.
It's a joke.
Bottom line, politicians always going to cover their arse no matter what they do. We never kind of know what the real background story is.
Yeah.
That's what this COVID is. We probably will never know. But bottom line is they're all shutting down again, and I think they're going to shut down. They're saying till the beginning of December. Others are saying January, Feb. I can't see it. Why open it up in beginning of December?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going into the coldest part of winter.
Yeah.
So
Time will tell.
Yeah, time will
Exactly.
tell.
Thai Airways offloading 10 Boeing 747s and a few other of their older aircraft. But they are getting rid, 5,000 staff are retiring early. So they're going through a massive restructure there at Thai. Again, they were one of the airlines battling before the pandemic, so they have to make those changes. You spoke about the hub and spoke airports there briefly. Do you hear what coming out of Emirates there, or these hub and spoke Dubai? A lot of the COVID era passengers not overly happy with the whole hub and spoke system. Basically, you're spending more time in an airport than you'd like. A direct flight obviously makes it that much easier. You can imagine the rigmarole of doing an international flight, getting off the plane, having your hands sanitized for the 400th time, walking through a terminal, and those are big terminals. And so the hub and spoke, they've taken a bit of criticism there, and you find an airline like Qatar, they are quite well suited right now. Yeah, they also hub and spoke, but they got the fleet, they got the right range of aircraft in their fleet to benefit from it. Emirates are 380s and 777s. That's it. They don't have these 321s and aircraft like that, so they're not maybe benefiting as much as an airline like Qatar is.
Well, it's also largely about the frequency of flights. We don't have the frequency of the flights or the schedules anymore.
Yeah.
Which used to work really well. You would land, maybe spend 2 or 3 hours max in Dubai, and then off you go to your next destination. Now you might wait 8, 10, 12 hours, and
if it is a tight flight, you might miss that connecting flight. Then it's got much bigger consequences. You might be
especially with all the protocols that you've got to follow now. So it
Yeah.
adds more. So direct flights are definitely going to be more favoured going
Yeah.
forward.
Obviously, after this, post-pandemic, I'm sure things will go back to normal. Interestingly, though, Brett, you'll sure find this interesting. Tim Clark, the Emirates CEO, he reckons there's no ways they're getting rid of the A380s. And that's not because of Emirates have taken quite heavy criticism for flying these A380s with the demand being so low. But Tim Clark reckons these aircraft are part of their branding. They're a critical part of Emirates branding. And to retire them early and to not use them is simply not an option in this era of brand awareness that we're living in.
Interesting statement that, sorry Brett,
Yeah.
but Tim Clark is also, he's on his way out. He's about to retire. So that might all change when the new Emirates leadership steps in and decides to shake things up.
Yeah.
Wait and see.
That generally happens.
Exactly.
But I do like the fact that they've started to convert them to cargo carriers now. So the 380s are now pushing, they can take 50 tons of cargo, which I found so interesting because a 777 takes 67 tons of cargo. But if you look at the layout of that aircraft, you can understand why they can't get additional cargo into the 380s there. So it's obviously that double-decker construction that the 380 has that limits the cargo availability.
See, they're calling these freighters.
Yeah.
Passenger freighters.
Quite clever.
And a lot of these combi flights happening, around the world right now as well. But I found that whole brand awareness side very, very interesting. And let's see what happens with Emirates. Like you say, if that growth happens, I'm sure Emirates are going to take back the pilots that were all furloughed. I'm sure. I don't know.
It's the only way I can see it happening. I mean, you would think that the airlines would want back the pilots that used to work for them. You employed them in the first place. You had that loyalty. Who knows? It's going to be interesting to see. Do the pilots want to go back?
Yeah. They reckon this traffic, or passenger traffic, they say VFR traffic will start up first. That's visiting friends and relatives, VFR. Due to the whole globalization effect, they reckon that will be the leading form of travel in front of just flat out tourism, and even obviously the business travel will be there, but it's that VFR traffic that is or travel that is ultimately going to be the lifeblood of these airlines as things pick up again. So cannot wait to have the option, at least, of just getting on an aeroplane and heading off overseas to go and see friends and family. Awesome.
Exactly.
Look, Emirates has taken a massive knock, 3.4 billion in the first 6 months of this year. So that's their loss. So, I mean, it's a big thing. They need to get those 380s up in the air and getting going again. Whether it's for marketing or for cargo, whatever it is.
Yeah. Freighter news, guys. Obviously, it's big. We've touched on it already with this vaccine. 8,000 Boeing 747s it's going to take to move this vaccine around the world. No small feat. And, on top of that, it's not just a case of throwing this vaccine in a standard cargo aircraft. It's got to be, you got to have cold chain storage. Obviously got to be stored at a particular temperature. And interestingly, I see Ethiopian advertising on LinkedIn that they've got the ability for this cold chain storage. And you wonder, that big Johnson & Johnson building going up in the Eastern Cape is obviously, I suppose a lot of it's going to be flown out from there. We might see some of these big freighters there at Port Elizabeth and East London, probably too small, but Port Elizabeth for sure.
Yeah.
Don't forget that I think it's going to filter down as well. I mean, this vaccine is going to have to get distributed to all the smaller rural destinations as well, which means there's going to be smaller aircraft required for this type of operation as well. So, 8,000 747s to get it around the world, but the logistics in getting it out there, it's massive. It's going to create good opportunities, I'm sure.
Whether you like the vaccine or you don't like the vaccine, it's going to create massive amounts of job creation. It's going to happen worldwide.
Yeah, and don't be fooled about this vaccine. You are not going to be allowed to fly unless you have this vaccine. Look, that's not official, but I can see this happening.
Yeah.
You're going to have this health passport, and if you don't have this vaccine, you're not flying overseas, I can assure you.
Yeah. Probably not going to fly domestically either.
Probably.
Without it.
Probably. There's a nice article in that, was a Mentor Pilot, I think, article. I'll leave it in the show notes. Quite an interesting article. Have a look at it.
Cool.
Amazon Air. This is a big one.
Yeah.
It's been under the radar because obviously the vaccine's been the big news. But Amazon Air, formerly known as Prime Air, they dropped that Prime Air because that's what they're calling their drone setup. Obviously, Brett, with a huge increase in demand for e-commerce, these big e-commerce companies are setting themselves up with their own freighters. Amazon using this depressed market as an opportunity to go and pick up some 737-800s. They've converted quite a few of them, but now they've got 65 aircraft in total, all leased. So this is a big thing. We have to choose our e-commerce products, and one of the big factors is when is it going to arrive and how cheap can it get here. So it makes sense that these big companies, I'm hinting at Takealot here because that'll be quite a nice airline to fly for. But
For sure.
it'll be an interesting thing to watch. I think watch this space because that e-commerce market, they're not going to want to rely on FedEx and UPS. They're going to want their own aircraft. And
Look, if you take Amazon, they're good as it is. You order something from Amazon, we've both experienced it.
Yeah, exactly.
It arrives 2 weeks before the delivery date. So they are brilliant the way it's working. Can you imagine now they have their own airline to do the deliveries worldwide? I mean, they're controlling it all now.
they're controlling it all, and they're going to have to expand rapidly. I mean, can you imagine how many aircraft they would need? It's brilliant for the industry. Again, is this the lifeblood possibly of the unemployed airline pilot right now?
I think so. Your chances of getting back into a flying position are greater now, landing a job with a cargo freighter position than it is with a PAX airline, I think. So
there's a lot of job adverts as well, particularly in the States, obviously, but a lot of adverts for freighter pilot positions. So be very, very cool to see. These drones are interesting, though. It's not just Amazon that are going to be using these drones. I think UPS is also in a trial phase, and they are being trialed. So not going to be too long before you got this drone coming.
Uber's not far behind. They're going to do something as well. It's going to hit. There's no doubt.
No, look, the world's changing rapidly, boys. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that Virgin Hyperloop that they've been testing.
Yes.
Tested with the first 2 people.
Yeah. I mean, that. And have you seen the plans around that as well? The global network of all these Hyperloops. It's obviously very futuristic, but it's exciting to see that it's
exciting times.
It's there.
And job creation as well. A lot of these things are automated, but they do require an operational back end to it. So we'll see. The MAX finally is looking like it's going to be certified properly and flying. Airlines are just laughing it off and calling it, not laughing it off, but the MAX name, they're still sort of referring to it as a 737-8. But see American basically put it in their schedule there without really alerting anyone. They're trying to keeping it the quiet route and not saying much. But look, it can't hurt the aviation industry right now with having those 73 Maxes flying.
Guys, what do you think about this? Have you seen Air New Zealand? They're offering these mystery packages for travel.
What's it all about?
So, short of paying someone to throw a sack over your head and shove you into a boot of a car and sending you somewhere unbeknown, Air New Zealand have just announced that they're returning a mystery break offer to their passengers. You have the option of buying a ticket that will allow them to book you a full-on holiday, flights, accommodation, transport, everything. Obviously, you have the option of choosing a luxury, great, or deluxe at different prices. But they put your whole holiday together. You don't know where you're going or how long you're going for until 2 days before you travel.
No way.
Yeah, you just sign up for this mystery package, and Air New Zealand will take care of it.
That's a new concept.
It's weird, hey? I mean,
that is very weird.
It's interesting to see all these ideas coming out.
Guys are getting creative.
Look, people will do that. People take a mystery. A lot of people like adventure. They like not knowing where they're going.
If you're the spontaneous, adventurous type, let's just throw caution to the wind.
Look, I like planning 6 months in advance, so that's not going to work so nice.
I like planning 6 hours in advance.
Imagine telling your girlfriend. Sorry,
one of those.
One for the bloopers. But I mean, imagine telling you, we're going away in 2 days' time. We don't know where you're going, and the frenzy that'll get created around. What to pack, etc., etc.
I know.
So you could.
The frenzy is an understatement.
You could get lucky. It could be Paris. It could be Paris. Shout out to Airlink. I love their new colors.
It looks awesome.
Really, really nice.
Really good. Really, really good.
Really cool. They've distanced themselves, obviously, now from that heavy flag that was on their tail is now gone, and I think it's going to have a big impact on on them going forward. It's branding that they can now stick with, and it's really, really nice.
It's a fresh new look. It's great, and they didn't waste any time rolling that out. I mean, they sort of announced, was it 2 weeks ago?
Does Roger ever waste any time?
Yeah.
That's why they are who they are.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
True story.
Yeah, no, so shout out to them. There's a nice, well worth your while coming up on Friday the 20th. Our friend John Howell in the UK with AviaDev. They're hosting Peter Davies. He was the chief turnaround officer at South African Airways when Vuyani Jarana was there. So anyone interested to find out a bit more about that and hear what he has to say, I think you might hear a bit more about that whole situation, more than we've ever heard about that sort of era, because it was very quiet. I never really picked up much news then, but it'll be interesting to see what he has to say. So that's Friday the 20th. Put that one in the calendar. And shout out to everyone that's been supporting us this week. Our downloads were awesome. And send us a comment, if we say something and you think we should elaborate on it further, or you have an opinion on it, then please, shoot us a comment there, and we'll respond. We're interested in learning as we go as well. So give us a like, comment, and again, share everyone, friends and family. We need to get out there. Help us.
The reviews would be an awesome bit of feedback, and I would like to know what you're thinking.
Yeah, how we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It does help. Or Craig Wood, our friend, loyal friend of the podcast, always lets me know, hey, great episode, or why don't you do this? So Craig, for you, this episode hopefully will touch on the 40-minute mark, so it should fit in with your double session on the treadmill there at Virgin Active this morning.
Can we do a quarter session one for me sometimes?
Yeah.
Good 15 minutes.
Yeah, you can do the highlight reel. Speaking of the highlight reel, I'm going to throw out, we do so much work every week. Well, I do. I don't know what you guys do. But
I was
do
waiting.
You work? Doesn't it just arrive?
That was going to come at some point. I knew it.
It comes at some point in every
show,
episode.
It has to. Otherwise, consistency, Brett. You've got to be consistent in your marketing. Look at what Tim Clark says. You've got to be consistent.
The regular, consistent Friday one.
Yeah, that overconfident, egotistical watermark of Brian Roseman.
I'm going to mute these other two mics. But I end up writing so much stuff down on news that we pick up in the week, because I'm sure you guys find what's happening is you have friends and family messaging you stories or possible stories that you can talk about. So you're getting bombarded with information all the time, which is great. And I put it all down on my notes here, but they kind of die a slow death on my computer. So I'm going to try and put these notes into a nice readable format, and then get it out on LinkedIn as an article, post it to Facebook as well. So if you prefer reading as opposed to listening to the podcast, even watching it on YouTube, then there'll be a sort of highlight reel article there that you can pick up as well. The reason I'm doing it, Ryan, is I'm going to see if it's going to try and help me articulate what we're actually trying to say, because it's not so straightforward. You have all the news, you know what you want to project out there, but you can't always get it out in a way that is as clear as you had it in your mind before. So by writing it down, the self-authoring, let's see if it works.
Yeah.
You tell me, was this a better episode, or
exactly.
Time will tell.
I do agree. I mean, sometimes some things just come out better when they're written down than said.
Yeah. Well, that's my plan.
I know that.
That's my plan. I don't have
Really? Didn't notice.
I don't have any tech tips or insight this week, other than I just saw an interesting thing on FNB. They're launching this virtual card, virtual credit card, basically.
Okay.
Quite cool with this, because your CVV number will change randomly all the time. So this card is actually for use when you're buying stuff online. So you don't have to worry, even if these details get stolen during the transaction. That CVV number is going to change anyway, so it seems like a nice secure way of doing it.
That's cool.
And something I picked up as well on Apple, for anyone using iOS devices, this iOS 14, you can actually go into the your passcode section, your stored passwords, and it actually alerts you if there's been a data breach at all on any of those passwords. And it says, listen, there was a data breach on this website, so consider changing your password. I had 113 of them. It said change the password immediately. So I spent a good few hours changing passwords.
I think that was mostly Brett and I trying to make your account so we could buy more equipment for the studio.
Look, that is great as long as that notification site is correct. Otherwise, you could have spent a couple of hours.
But it's coming from Apple settings, so you don't have to go to some third-party website. Just check it out there. And you don't have to change the password on the web, where it alerts you. You can actually go to the particular site and change it, directly there. But quite an interesting thing.
Very cool. I've got one more tech tip.
Yeah.
Not very high tech, quite low tech, but quite fascinating nonetheless. If you find yourself floating in the International Space Station and Earth radios you back and says, listen guys, you know that leak we were talking about a couple of months ago? And you reply, yes, we know about it. Well, apparently it's getting a little bit worse. But we need you to find out where this leak is coming from. Have you read the article on how they've managed to find this
I haven't.
leak?
I know they were looking for it.
So they determined that this small little crack or whatever it is in the Russian module of the ISS. And they've gone and taken a tea bag, opened it up and let the little tea particles float, and it got attracted towards the hole, and they've managed to pinpoint where the crack is and sealed it up with some duct tape for the meantime.
Brilliant.
So
I thought they were just gonna cut the Russians section off and seal it.
They must have hit it hard to break the Russian section.
I do think that the Russians are more worried about how much vodka they've got up there than oxygen.
But they had vodka, but they weren't prepared to open that bottle and let it go out.
But fascinating nonetheless that they're using a tea bag to find the leak. But again, just proof that duct tape fixes anything. And if
you only have to see the back of our studio to know the answer to that.
And if the duct tape's not working, you're just not using enough.
just use more. The technical side of SA Express used that brilliantly for years. There was more duct tape than metal on those old CRJs. The big news this week, to deliver the COVID vaccine around the world, that's the story of the week. It will be an extremely complicated process with major cargo and passenger airlines planning ahead for this challenge of the century. I can only hope this mammoth task is monitored by American ATC, has crew meals by Air France, maintenance performed by Lufthansa, has the resilience of Alitalia and South African Airways, and it all gets organized by ANA. That's it for this week, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Have a great weekend.